let's talk about that New Yorker cover that everybody in the country seems to be talking about. Nancy Giles, commentator from Sunday Morning, is with us this morning.
Hey, Harry.
How are you?
I'm fine.
You know, the New Yorker is very interesting because David Remnick came out yesterday. He's been the editor of the magazine for 10 years.
Right.
Couldn't be more successful. Smart stuff in that magazine. He says, listen, these are fantastical images about the Obamas, shows them for the obvious distortions they are. Why is everybody going crazy about this? Does it make you crazy?
It did make me crazy, and I'm an admirer of The New Yorker. I used to subscribe. I mean, I stopped subscribing not because of this particular cartoon, but because they have these great articles that sometimes are 40 and 50 pages long, and I would burst into tears because I'd never finish them.
Okay.
But the thing about this particular cartoon is that I think for the people who really already believe that Barack Obama is Muslim, and by the way, if he was Muslim, there shouldn't be a problem with that. We should have religious freedom in this country.
Right.
But because of the fear that this country has, this will maybe reinforce that fear. I don't think they'll see that as satire. And the interesting thing is the title of the cartoon is The Politics of Fear.
Right.
Even if that were somehow maybe on the cover or you know, I wouldn't want to try to tell the cartoonist how to do his piece.
But clearly, this was not intended to make fun of the Obamas. This was intended to send up those who would portray them in the way the cartoon shows them.
I get that. I get that.
Okay.
But I think that there may be people who just look at the cover and see it for what it is. I mean, there's so many elements that could really get somebody. A framed picture of Osama bin Laden on the wall,
flag burning in
American
the
flag,
yeah.
Michelle Obama with a fro and an AK-47, and you know, I mean, there's a lot going on there, and you got to wonder, like, is the New Yorker? This is a candidate. This isn't a guy that's already president,
right?
So, is the New Yorker at some point gonna do a similar wild interpretation of the rumors about John McCain, or have him holding his wife as a trophy, stepping on his ex-wife, something like? I mean, you know, you know, or when Bush was a candidate.
Well, it brings up the subject of what is or isn't fair game.
Right.
Front page story in the New York Times this morning is that people are trying to figure out what's funny about this campaign.
Right.
And so far, nothing has been funny about Obama. Is Obama off limits?
No, I don't think that that's true. And I have a very good sense of humor. And years ago, I used to be at Second City, which is in Chicago, which is a famous political, satirical comedy group.
Yes.
I would die to have played somebody like Michelle Obama.
Yeah.
Once, either now or when she's president. But Second City
when
gives you... when she's president. You know, I
understand
when she's first lady. Second City gives you already the context of comedy and satire, so you know going in what you're going to get. This was just it's so much more confusing. Considering I think
you know the blogosphere is filled with all of this stuff, and I'm sitting there saying, so we have we're returning to the age of absolute political correctness? No.
Because even years ago, they had a political cartoon of Grover Cleveland, who was suspected of having a kid out of wedlock.
Yeah.
And there's this very famous cartoon going, I want my ma, of him, you know, the baby. It always existed. But this, without the context of that particular title, The Politics of Fear, or maybe I read this on the blog as a thought bubble of like the right-wingers, like, ooh, this is our fantasy that he really is that. Or of the Obamas seeing that image on TV while they're eating apple pie and they're really this all-American family, it might have just straightened it out a little bit. Yeah. You know, it's
maybe they need editing.
Yeah, maybe.
That sounds you're doing your own editing. We all do our own editing.
I know.
Nancy Giles,
to flesh it out.
Great to see you.
You too. Thank you.
Thanks for coming in.